2, 1. Good afternoon. This is Tom O'Connor. Welcome to the eDiscovery channel. We're coming to you live from New Orleans, and hopefully we'll stay live for at least 15 minutes as we've got a massive thunderstorm rolling through here. You may hear some thunder in the background. Our special guest today is Mike Quartararo, the Director of Litigation Support at Strzok in New York. What's the third name in that? It's Strzok and something, Mike.
Strzok and Levin.
Levin, there you go, in New York. And Mike's the, correct me if I get this wrong, the Director of Litigation Support. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, excellent. And I've asked him to join us because he's written a new book, and it is called Project Management in Electronic Discovery. And we were just talking about this. I love the subtitle, An Introduction to Core Principles of Project Management and Leadership, which I told Mike was certainly a bold set of goals to set for himself in our profession. So my first question, Mike, this is really interesting. I think we had talked about this once before at a conference somewhere, but there's never been another book, any book on project management in this field. So what drove you to write this one? What was the guiding principles here that you thought needed to have a book put down?
So a couple things, Tom. First of all, thanks for having me. A couple things drove the writing of the book. One, there's plenty of books on project management. There's plenty of books about discovery. There's even books on electronic discovery somewhere if you look far enough. But nobody's ever taken project management, the principles of project management, and merged them into best practices in electronic discovery. And it seemed like a no-brainer to me. The principal motivation actually was what didn't start out as an industry need for working professionals. I was asked to teach a class at Bryan University. When I and the instructional designers sought a text for this, for a class entitled Project Management and Electronic Discovery, we realized there was no book. So sitting around, we kind of joked, "Hey, Mike, you got to write the book." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll get right on it." That was about 4.5 years ago.
Yes, I remember, and I'm sure you recall, having discussions with you at various conferences at the end of the day after sessions, and I'd be standing outside a door at a hotel someplace smoking a cigar or talking with people like Craig Wall, and you'd come out muttering to yourself, "I'm on chapter 5 of this book and I'm stuck." And I've seen this thing sort of being in the gestation, if you will, of the project. You spent a lot of time working on this and put a lot of effort into it.
Yeah, I did. Took about 3.5 years, and of pretty solid writing almost every day. I want to say I put 2 to 3 hours a day in it. So it's been an ambitious undertaking, to say the least. And I echo your concern with the word leadership in eDiscovery. It is ambitious, but necessary nonetheless.
Right. So that being said, we've established there was a void. Who's your target audience? Who do you want to read this book?
So it started out being just students, and then as I was doing research and as I was looking into some of the figures and the numbers in the industry and projections for industry growth, not just in what you and I do in providing services or consulting, but in software and in infrastructure and the whole information governance world. So it started out for students, but then as I kept writing and kept thinking about it, I said, this is something I've been doing for a long time in my work, but, the industry itself doesn't really understand or appreciate the need for project management when you're managing a discovery project. And I'm not just talking about eDiscovery. That's one aspect of discovery, right? In the larger legal sense. So it occurred to me that this is a book that the entire industry could benefit from. So to answer your question, while it started out for students, I think the target audience is, number one, lawyers, because they'll drive adoption. two, certainly paralegals, certainly litigation/practice support professionals, and then, of course, the students. And I think it applies corporate legal, government legal, law firm, service provider, doesn't matter. If you're working in the space, you could find something of use in this book.
And I take it, though, from your comments that you don't think that good project management necessarily requires a law degree.
Not at all. You know, it's one of the questions that I'm asked constantly. You know, do project managers have to have a law degree to really succeed in a legal environment? And I don't think so at all. In fact, very few project managers have any credential at all in our industry. They've sort of learned organically or grown or been mentored by someone who's got a particular set of skills. That said, knowing how, knowing the legal aspects of how disputes arise and how discovery comes about and how cases move forward and settle, that's kind of critical. And so I think that it's important to have some knowledge of the, as we say in the project management world, the body of knowledge in the industry in which you work, and that would be true regardless of what industry you're in. If you're in construction, you need to know things. You need to know how to use a ruler, right? You need to know how to measure square feet, and you need to have a good sense of, I think, geometrical shapes and stuff like that.
Right.
So knowing how the legal process works, you don't necessarily have to have a law degree, but understanding the legal process is critical, I think.
So let's build that point out a little bit more. How then does electronic discovery project management or discovery project management differ from, let's say, construction? Are there certain tenets or principles that are different?
No, and that's a great question, Tom, because I think everybody sort of confuses, project management, and then they sort of say, oh, legal project management is a certain kind of project management. You know what? That's not accurate. Project management is project management. And yes, there are different schools of thought and methodologies. There's Agile, Six Sigma. My book focuses on principles of traditional, or what some people might call watershed, project management principles. And it's different only in the sense that you're working in a slightly different environment. What jumps out to me are things like the work in the legal business is a little less predictable and probably a little less precise than, say, designing and building an automobile, right? And the work in the legal business typically takes place in an adversarial environment, right? You've got two parties, they're suing each other, and so it doesn't, there's a disincentive, if you will, to cooperate. Whereas if you're, building a skyscraper, the idea is you're all sort of working to build this thing together, right? There's no adversarial parties. And then just as a general matter in the legal business, there's varying cultures and values in firms and corporate environments, and so it doesn't lend itself well to having a sort of middle manager, project manager calling the shots, not when you've got some corporate GC or a law firm partner who's really in charge of the project but doesn't want to be a project manager. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then last but not least, the law firms, the legal industry in general, I think, hasn't always been known as the most efficient marketplace, if you will. Efficiency has not always been the hallmark of legal practice. And so I think whereas people who work in manufacturing or construction or maybe even in finance, there's a general tendency to be more efficient. In the legal business, it can be slightly disincentivized depending upon what kind of fee arrangement is made, depending upon the vagaries of the facts of the litigation, and there's so many different reasons why it wouldn't be efficient. But project management itself is designed to make it more efficient. So
to that end, I guess it doesn't really matter what type of firm, plaintiff side, defense side, the principles here are going to apply to anybody involved in the process.
Yes, and the book lays that out. What I try to do in the book is lay out the basic tenets of project management. It's not a master's degree course. It's important for people to understand the basic principles of planning and budgeting and executing and quality and risk management and things like that. And so some of those things are covered in the book. It's not a project management textbook. The idea was to marry project management to the most cost laden aspect of legal practice, and that's the discovery process. So it's
Right.
designed to make that process more efficient.
Great. So you mentioned courses now and talked about how the genesis of this was at a course you did at Bryant. Will you be doing that course again or teaching someplace else? Or are we going to get the benefit of your face-to-face expertise here?
So, I mean, I've been out talking a bit about it at various different conferences and doing webinars and stuff like that, and things like your little show here. We are at Bryant in the course of designing redesigning a graduate level program that will focus on this area. Don't have a lot of facts about when it'll be ready, but they of course have their paralegal program as well, which offers either an associate's or a bachelor's degree with a specialty in eDiscovery. And they're looking at the book as a possible text in that in their curriculum.
Great. And last but not least, actually, no, I have one final question. ILTA, will we be seeing you at the ILTA conference in DC next month?
Absolutely. I'll be down there. I'll have, I'm driving down, so I'll have the back of my car full of books. And that
was my last question was, well, yes, how do we find the book? I guess now all we have to do is find you in National Harbor the last week of August.
And I'm trying to work with the leadership at ILTA on how exactly we're going to present and promote the book. But those details are yet to be developed, but they're coming soon.
Is there a website people can go to, or?
Absolutely. Anybody who wants to order the book can go to www.ediscoverypm.com and click on the link to order the book. It'll take you out to a secure order page. You can go there. It's also available on various online retailers if you feel more comfortable with that.
Okay. And once more, the title of the book, Mike?
Project Management and Electronic Discovery, an introduction to core principles of legal project management and leadership in eDiscovery.
All right, excellent. I highly recommend that everybody get this book. It's got some things you need to know and will make your job and your case easier and more cost-effective and more efficient. I can't say enough about it. Mike, thanks so much for joining us. I personally look forward to seeing you next month down in DC, and I'm sure we'll talk more about this subject while they're there. Maybe even get a few more comments and some feedback from some people that we can record and throw up on the site as well.
Fantastic. Thanks for having me, Tom.
All right, you bet. Thanks, everyone. This is Tom O'Connor again, the eDiscovery channel, and we'll be back next, as I mentioned, from the ILTA conference in National Harbor the last week of August. Thanks so much.